Well, what we have so far is beginning to fill that area in, but let's take a look at the back view again here. And it's this that I think will really help kind of fill it in. We don't really have another image of that. If I go over to this other image, it's hard to see here. We're at an angle and it's got this big chain over it too. I don't know if they're trying to hide that area as well. So we don't have a great image of this within the references here, but I think we can go ahead and give it a try. So what let's do is let's create a cylinder. And for this cylinder, I'm going to give it maybe, well, let's give it 24 sides. I want it to be fairly rounded, and I'll go ahead and take this down to 0.1 and 0.2 just to shrink it down a bit. And let's rotate it around the x-axis, RX90. And let's bring it up and put it in here. Let's scale it, and it's really hard to know how big this should be, of course, but let's go with this. And I will grab it and bring it forward and try and place it maybe right behind here, behind this bar, and maybe right in here. Now we need to get some of these details on here. So it looks like there's kind of a triangular extrusion, and maybe we could do another one here. Let's give that a try. I've gone ahead and left the cap fills as an N-gon. I thought maybe that might be a little easier to deal with. Let's see. What let's do is press Control A and apply the scale. And then let's grab that face and let's hit I and scale in a bit. And let's go back here and let's take a look at this. So if we scale into about here and then maybe grab some points here. So I'll just grab this point and control click this point and control click this point to kind of extend those around there like that. And then maybe let's scale these in. I'll hit S and X and let's see if we can scale this in. And then maybe we can begin bringing some of these in just a bit like this and this. I'll press S and X and bring these in a bit. And maybe these here. So I'm just trying to get some sort of a shape here that can kind of sell the idea that there's an extrusion here, some sort of detail going on. So if we select this now, and let's go ahead and go back to our solid view. If we select that and extrude this out, let's hit E and pull this out a bit like this. And then let's also scale it in some like this. Okay, so I think that's going to give us what we want here. I'm just going to adjust a couple of things here like this. If we take a look at this, I'm going to extrude it and kind of bring it down here. So, or I should say inset it. So I'll hit the I key and bring this in like this. I don't want to overlap things like this, but I'll just bring them out like this and then bring it down. And maybe I'll hit S and scale it down a bit and bring it down a little bit more. And then what let's do is let's extrude this one out as well. So I'll just hit E and pull this out and then scale it in some like this. So hopefully this is going to kind of hint at that particular shape and those particular details. Let's go ahead and smooth it. Shade smooth. And let's turn on auto smooth over here. And I think we probably want it, yeah, about like that. Although I would like to, maybe let's move it up some, like this, and then what we can do is select edges that we want to actually stand out. So maybe we could grab this edge and mark this one as sharp, and maybe let's try this edge here and mark that as sharp as well. See how that works. Well, I'm not too pleased with that. Let's try this. See how that works. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I'm not real fond of this edge here, though. Let me grab this edge and clear that, and then I'm going to hit Control B and bevel this out just a little bit. Well, before I do that, let me press Control A and apply this scale, and then let's press Control B and bring that out and add a couple of edges there. Yeah, so I just wanted it to be a little bit softer there. All right, let's see what else we can find in there. It looks like there's something up in here, and there may be something down here. Let's see if this is in the proper place. I feel like it could come forward some. Maybe, well, maybe we should take this whole thing and move it back a bit, like this. Let's do this, and then grab this and move it back here like this. There we go. Okay. Well, let's put this piece in. I feel like, let's just put a cube in and extrude the edges or the sides out a bit here. Let's just do that. Mesh cube. Let's scale down, and let's bring this up into place up here. It probably should be just behind this, just kind of on top of that cylinder there. In here, let's say. And then, well, let's scale it down. Bring it into about there, like this. And then let's go ahead and insert an edge loop, maybe 2 right in here. And then we can grab this face and extrude this out. So let's press ESX and kind of scale those out a bit like that. So it's very basic. We could add more detail if we wanted. We could do something like add 2 edge loops here and then grab this edge and kind of pull it up a bit like that, just to give it a little bit more visual interest. Now let's take a look at actually moving these parts around or extruding off of them to kind of fill in. This one right here could probably go back toward the cab here. We could take this and move it back toward here. We could also take it all the way if we wanted to connect it. We could try that. And then we could extrude down. Now we should probably scale out to connect with the springs here. So let's hit S and X and kind of pull that out a bit like that. Then we could go ahead and insert an edge loop. Let's do that. I'll tab into edit mode first, and let's insert an edge loop right here. And let's see what happens if we grab that face there and bring it down. So let's hit E and bring it down. We could bring it all the way down to here and just see what happens. Like that. That looks a little bit too much, like we need to be able to take this in line with this angle here, right? So let's go ahead and add another edge loop right there and grab that face and just move it in like that. Let's see how that worked. Now, it isn't mirrored over. We're going to have to mirror it. Let's see how that looks in the back. That helps fill in some back there. All right, so let's go ahead and grab that and mirror it over. I'll isolate it with the division key, and so now we can see it. Let's go ahead and give it an edge right down the center here. Let's click and then press E, and then we can do that with the F key. I'll hit enter, and that looks pretty well down the center. So let's go ahead and hit Alt Z and go to face mode, and I'll border select all of these on this side and get rid of those. Then let's go ahead and add a mirror modifier and turn on clipping. So there we go. We've got a problem there with the edge. Let's take a look at that. I'll turn on the edit cage on the other side, and let's select this edge with Alt-click, and let's kind of move it and slam it into the center there so that it connects and seals up. And we were able to do that because clipping is on here. So that seals that up. Now let's hit the division key on the numpad to bring everything back. And okay, so now we're getting somewhere, I think. We're going to have to do a little bit more connecting with these pieces. This is kind of hanging out. And of course, this is still hanging out here. But I think we're getting somewhere. That's beginning to fill in this area down here in the back. And that's what we want. So in the next video, what let's do is let's work on these cylinders and see if we can begin connecting everything up.